Hi everyone, it's Maya from WholesomeYum.com, and today I'm showing you how to make keto pumpkin muffins. If you love pumpkin season as much as I do, you're going to love these low-carb pumpkin muffins. They're packed with real pumpkin, pumpkin spice, they're sweet and moist, they're so good. I love these for breakfast, for a snack, and even for dessert. I've mentioned for a few recipes now that almond flour and coconut flour together make a better texture than just one of them alone. So we're using Wholesome Yum almond flour here and Wholesome Yum coconut flour. These have a perfect, really fine consistency, and they have the right moisture level for the perfect texture in these grain-free muffins. And I have a few more keto baking recipes coming up with these flours, so be sure you subscribe so you'll be notified as soon as those are up. Also, people often ask me if they can replace the almond flour with coconut flour or vice versa. The answer is no, you can't. They absorb moisture very differently, so the results are not going to turn out if you replace one with the other. In fact, the coconut flour here is actually used to absorb the extra moisture from the pumpkin puree and the other wet ingredients in these keto muffins. But if you want a recipe with just almond flour, I'll link my low-carb blueberry muffins down below. Those use only almond flour. There's one more important ingredient in this keto pumpkin muffin recipe, and that is Besti sweetener. I use this in all my keto baking. Anytime I want sweet, this is what I use. And it's particularly important in these muffins because it makes them really nice and moist. You can pick up a bag on Amazon or on my website. I'll link both down below for you. Okay, I'm going to show you how to make these keto pumpkin muffins. Let's do this. We're going to start by lining a large muffin tin with parchment paper liners. Make sure these are parchment paper, not just like a regular thin paper, otherwise your muffins are going to stick. If you like, you can also use silicone liners. Those are reusable and they clean up really well. Up to you what you want to use. I'll link the ones I use down below. And we're going to set that aside, and now we're going to make our muffin batter. So we're going to add half a cup of Wholesome Yum almond flour and half a cup of Wholesome Yum coconut flour. Again, this blend is going to give us a really nice texture in the muffins. And the next ingredient we're going to add is Besti monk fruit allulose blend. You're going to need half a cup of that. Add a tablespoon of pumpkin pie spice and a tablespoon of baking powder. Make sure your baking powder is fresh, and a 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt. And now we're going to whisk those dry ingredients all together. I like to use a whisk instead of a spoon or spatula. That way you can break up all the lumps, and that way you don't have to sift your flours. Super easy. Go ahead and keep mixing until everything is completely uniform and you don't see any lumps. Now we're going to add 4 large eggs. Make sure that these are room temperature, that way they won't solidify your other ingredients when you add them later, but you don't need to whisk them separately, just add them directly into the bowl. We're going to mix it all together later anyway, and it makes for easier cleanup. And we'll add 3/4 cup of pumpkin puree. You can make your own pumpkin puree from fresh pumpkins if you like, but I usually just buy the canned stuff. Just make sure that there are no other ingredients in there, only pumpkin. You don't want pumpkin pie filling for keto pumpkin muffins. That has a ton of sugar in it. Now we're going to melt half a cup of butter, or if you like, you can use ghee or coconut oil, and add that to your mixture as well. And here's a teaspoon of vanilla extract. It really adds that nice flavor, mixes really well with that pumpkin pie spice. And we're gonna mix this all together. Now, this is how I used to make my batter for keto pumpkin muffins, and you can use just this and nothing else if you like. But I'm actually going to add one more ingredient here. This is an improvement I made to the recipe recently, and that is half a cup of unsweetened almond milk. You can add it with the rest of the wet ingredients in the beginning. I just showed it later because I wanted to highlight that this is something new in this recipe, and I think it makes these low-carb pumpkin muffins even better. So we're gonna mix that all together. You're gonna notice the batter is a little thick. This is totally normal. We're gonna bring our muffin tin back in here, and we're going to fill those muffin cups. Now, some muffin recipes have you fill the molds halfway or 3/4 of the way. We want these almost full. They don't rise quite as much as traditional muffins, so we're gonna fill them pretty close to the top. And I like to use this large cookie scoop to fill them. It just makes it super convenient. They're almost full anyway, and then if you need a little extra, you can just kind of top them off. At the end, I also like to smooth the tops a little bit. That way they're gonna just rise more evenly. And once you've smoothed the tops, you can go ahead and add the toppings. I'm adding pumpkin seeds here. Make sure that they don't have the shells because those are going to be difficult to chew. And you need about 3 tablespoons for all of the muffins combined. If you like, you can also use sugar-free chocolate chips or some other kind of nuts, or you can leave the tops bare and then add keto cream cheese frosting on top at the end. That's also super delicious, and I'll link that down below for you. And we're ready to bake our low-carb pumpkin muffins. These bake pretty quickly. They'll take about 25 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And once you take them out, just use the toothpick test to confirm that they are done. Insert a toothpick into the center of a muffin and then make sure that it comes out completely clean. That's how you know that they are done. You can let them cool in the pan for a little bit, but once they're cool enough to handle, go ahead and take them out. That way the bottoms won't get soggy, and then you can let them cool completely, either on the counter or on a cooling rack. Letting them cool does improve the texture, so if you have patience, go ahead and let them cool. And if you like them warm, you can always reheat them later. But if you're really impatient and you just have to have one right away, I get it. That's totally fine as well. Waiting for these keto pumpkin muffins to cool was the hardest part. The house is just filled with pumpkin aroma as soon as you take them out of the oven, so it's tempting to try them right away, but trust me, the texture is so much better if you let them cool first. If you want to reheat it later, that's totally fine. You can place them back in the oven or into the microwave to heat up if you like. Let me show you what the inside of these looks like. These are going to be sweet, with loads of pumpkin flavor and the perfect texture. I love these with a little bit of butter, so let's slather some of that on. They're so tender, they just almost break apart when you spread the butter on them. It's really good. All right, let's give this a try. That was so good. Just perfect with a cup of coffee in the morning, or let's be honest, any time of day. I hope you'll make these keto pumpkin muffins soon. If you do, be sure to leave me a comment, let me know what you think, and snap a photo, post it with #WholesomeYum so that I can see it. See you next time on Wholesome Yum, where I share easy, healthy, and keto recipes, all with 10 ingredients or less.